All right, so feel free to answer or ask any questions in the chat, and we will try to answer them as we're going along. So let's see. All right, here's our agenda for today. My name is Ms. Napora, and so I'm getting started with the meeting today, but Ms. Vega and Mr. Boyd will chime in just a minute. So today we're going to introduce the counseling team. We're going to talk a little bit about graduation requirements and approximately how many credits your student should have at this point in time in their high school career. We're also going to review UC and Cal State requirements. Those are also referred to as those E through G college prep requirements. Then we'll get into the typical junior year schedule since students are in the process and have been selecting their junior year classes. We'll talk about that. We'll also briefly get into the 10th grade lesson that counselors presented in all English classes on Monday. And that included some work that they did in the platform that we use called californiacolleges.edu. Oops, my numbering's wrong there, but we'll also get into summer school and dual enrollment, some to-dos in moving forward, tips for 10th graders, and then wind down for this evening. All right, so let's get started. Oops, forward progress, not backwards. All right, so the counseling team at Foothill includes Mr. Boyd. Wave your hand, Mr. Boyd. There he is. Alrighty. He helps students with the last names A through HA. I am Ms. Napora, and I assist students with the last names HE through RA. And Ms. Vega, she helps students with the last names RE through Z, plus our English language learner families. Hi, Ms. Vega. All right. In addition, we have a Wellness Center counselor. Her name is Mrs. Wolf. She is in the H pod of the Foothill campus. Possibly when you came to view the campus last year when your student was, or 2 years ago when your student was thinking about coming to Foothill, maybe you were able to see the Wellness Center then. And then we have a brand new staff meeting member. Her name is Miss Betancourt, and she is our registrar. And then we also have Miss Fergus, and she is our media center coordinator. And so you probably are used to seeing her name because she does send out a lot of information on our behalf and information about community service and other things that are essential to know as a Foothill student. All right, Ms. Vega is going to take it from here.
Thank you, Ms. Napora. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the VUSD graduation requirements. Your students have to complete a total of 230 credits to be able to graduate from Foothill with a diploma. And so how do they obtain this? First, we're going to start with English. They will be doing 4 years of English. Right now, as 10th graders, they're either in English 10 or 10 honors. And then for next year, they've signed up for either for English 11 or AP English language. Social science, they will take social science. They're taking social science right now in 10th grade. Continue, of course, in junior and senior year. Junior year, they will be taking U.S. history or what they will recognize as APUSH. We hear that a lot. And then 12th grade government or econ, and that's either college prep or AP as well. 3 years of math. The math sequence will go Math 1, Math 1 Honors, or Math 1 Foundations. Right now, they're in either Math 2 or Math 2 Honors. Next year, Math 3 or Math 3 Honors, or it could be a higher level math depending on what they started with in freshman year. So again, the goal is to have those 3 years of math. Most of students will take more than 3, just so we like to have them prepared for life after high school. Okay, and then 2 years of art. That's 20 credits, and that's actually for high school. If they've taken Spanish their freshman year, That'll give them 1 year of art credit, and then they can either do art or drama, anything like that will fulfill that requirement as well. And then 2 years of PE. All ninth graders are required to be in PE, dance, or athletics. So they did that last year. And then the remaining 10 credits they're earning this year. And that could again be a regular PE class, or if they're in a sport or independent study PE. So they'll get their 2 years of PE. And then science, the requirements, biology and a physical science. So most students have done biology, and by sophomore year, they're doing chemistry. And then they have some options in junior and senior year. Another requirement is a college career seminar in health. That's a freshman requirement. Most of them have already completed that. And if they haven't, then of course we'll get them set up with summer school to get that done. And then electives is a total of 65 electives, and that is that can be anything. That could be your arts, that could be additional language. Eventually, it could be like additional science. All of that will fall into that elective category. So again, we're prepping them so by the time they're getting ready to finish senior year, they have their 230 credits. Go ahead, Ms. Napora. Okay, excuse me. So very similar to the high school requirements, all of our students and the majority of our classes are A through G. So we are prepping them so that come senior year, they have the option of whether they want to apply to a 4-year. That could be a UC, a CSU, or private. If they choose to go into the workforce, of course, they're just well prepared. So we want them, most importantly, we want our students to have options. So we prepare them with just making sure that they have fulfilled their A through G. The A is your history and social science. Again, they started that this year as sophomores. They'll continue in junior and senior year, taking some more social science courses and the history courses. The B requirement is your English. That's the 4 years of English. Again, that's your 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th grade. They'll be doing that. By the time they'll be done at the end of senior year with that requirement. Math, 3 years is required. We do recommend 4. Especially because nowadays it's getting more and more competitive to get into the university. So we just really do encourage the students to take that 4th year. Lab science, 2 years required, 3 recommended. The same thing, we'll always recommend for them to go a little bit above and beyond, depending on their post-secondary goals. Language other than English. That's 2 years required. This is not required as a high school graduate. It's not a high school graduation requirement, but it is if they're planning on going on to a 4-year. 2 years required, 3 recommended. At Foothill, we only offer Spanish, but of course they have other options as if they'd like to take a class at the community college. And a semester, the university will recognize a semester of a language as 2 years. So of course, your students are welcome to talk to us a little bit more about that if they're interested in doing something like that under dual enrollment. And then the F requirement, which is your visual and performing art, that's like your art classes. It could be a drama class, anything in the arts pretty much. We want to make sure that it fulfills that F requirement. And then G, your college prep elective, 1 year is required of that. And again, we have them prepared so that they will fulfill that requirement by taking one of the, for example, could be like, let's say, junior year science. That can fall into a college prep elective. If they choose AP psychology, that's another example. So kind of anything above and beyond what they're taking, it'll fall into that category. So again, we're just preparing them so they can have some options after high school. And a typical junior year schedule, what we're looking at, they're either going to be in English 11, college prep, or AP English language, the AP Lang class. They're going to be taking history as well, and that could be the U.S. History college prep or APUSH, the AP U.S. History, the Math 3 or next level of math, kind of depending where they're at and where they started in freshman year. Spanish or an elective, they'll have that. Physics or another science elective, they can take, maybe AP environmental science, physio. Those are some options. And then an additional elective, athletics, or no class, usually by junior year. If they're not doing a sport, majority of our students have no 7th, but if they are in a sport, then they'll have that 7th period for that athletics period for that sport. Oh, Mr. Boyd, you're up.
Well, thank you, Mrs. Vega. I appreciate that. So, in education, we love our acronyms. So, let's just explain what they are. Advanced AP stands for Advanced Placement. 11th and 12th graders will have the opportunity to take advanced placement classes. What that means is at the high school, they're essentially taking a college class. The AP is the college final, that's in May. And if they pass the AP with a 3, 4, or 5, 5 being the highest score possible, they'll probably receive credits at the university they go to for the coursework they did in high school. It works really well, but please remember it's very, very challenging. The goal is, of course, to pass the AP exams given every May, and there is a cost that the parents do for that as it is purchased from the college board. The curriculum is all developed by the college board and it's dictated what the high school teacher will teach in the class. So the study helps to be strong, to be successful in the class. And again, it's extremely challenging, but at the same time, they're very rewarding. Next slide, please. So one of the ways parents can keep track of what the kids are doing in their classes, look at Parent Connect. I'm sure you do this to view assignments, review attendance, stuff like that, but you can also use Parent Connect to review graduation requirements and even review the progress for A through G. I will be honest, for A through G, it's not always correct, especially if they're taking classes at Ventura College, but it's a good guideline. And please email the counselor if you have any questions. And again, if they're looking at the number of credits, they should have about 100 credits to date. I guess 90 credits to 110, 115, 120 would be what we'd expect. If they have below 90 credits, they probably need to do a summer school. And if they have above 115, they're probably doing a lot of extra things at Ventura College. So that's just a good gauge, that 100 credit or so. Next slide. There's other ways to get credits for high school graduation. Multi-site enrollment is when a person takes classes at the CTE, the Career Technical Education Center, located down at the Camarillo Airport. There is a bus 2 days a week that picks them up at Foothill, takes them down to the airport for the class, and will bring them back. They have things classes such as a dental hygienist, auto body, drones, other things that are extremely interesting. If the student is interested in that, very useful. Most of those are also A through G courses as well. So again, the CEC is in Camarillo. And finally, dual enrollment. A lot of our students do dual enrollment classes at Ventura College. Especially the junior and senior year when they have 6 classes and they get out of school at 2:30, they might have time to do that. There is no tuition as long as the high school is dual enrollment, but there is some registration fees and that kind of stuff. So it's not free, but it's probably the best bargain you're going to get. With again, $30 to $40 per semester is usually what it takes. And they have so many more electives and offerings than the high school. A lot of our students go to take classes for dual enrollment. My own kids did when they were here, and it was a good experience. I would be very honest, it was a very good experience for them. The next slide, please. So there's other options, and these are CTE classes offered at other high schools in the district. At Foothill, our CTE classes consist of the Bioscience Academy, the DTech Academy, there's the graphics pathway, the computer science pathway, and I want to say there's one other one, but it escapes me right now. I apologize. But if space is available, They can also take classes at the other high schools, Blaine and Ventura. And here's a list of things that they offer. Again, it's on if space is available, and usually the student and student's family is going to be responsible for transportation. So if there's questions about this, they want to get involved in next year or their senior year, please direct those to right to the school counselor in an email or have your student come visit us in the office. Next slide. I believe this is Mr. Pora, or is it me for dual enrollment?
I'll do it.
Just to remind people, if there's questions, we are, please put them in the chat. We'll answer those as soon as we can. Thank you, Jane. It's all yours.
All right, so as Mr. Boyd mentioned, there is the option to take college classes. And since BC is right across the street, that is awfully convenient for our students. And so there is a high desire for students to take those classes. The hardest part of VC is just getting through the application, the portal setup, and registering for classes. And it can be very time consuming and frustrating. So we would encourage families to attend the dual enrollment workshops that they have offered through VC. There was one yesterday. The next one is March 6th, then April 8th, and May 1st. And then there are Spanish sessions as well. And so if students want to enroll in a summer or fall class for next year, they won't be able to register until the first week of May. It usually falls around May 5th. So if your student attended one of these next 3 workshops and got information on how to sign up for a class, then they would be all ready to register when it comes time to actually push the button and register for a class. So take advantage of these opportunities to work with VC staff directly, because often students will come to the counseling office, which is great, but we don't have the power and the ability to get into the VC system and reset passwords or help with the portal if something gets stuck in the admission cycle or whatever. So often we have to send students down to VC, and that can be kind of intimidating for especially a 10th grader. So going through one of these workshops might be very helpful in working directly with the VC staff. All right, next I just briefly want to touch upon our 10th grade lesson that we did on Monday. All counselors went out to English Honors and English 10 college prep classes, and we did a lesson. We talked a little bit about scheduling questions and the classes that they would be taking for their next year cycle. Discussed AP a little bit, dual enrollment, and then answered any questions that they might have had. And then you can go into a student connection or a parent connection. You won't be able to see their request, but you could have your student log into student connection, and then they just have to toggle to the 25-26 school year. It's on the upper right-hand side of the screen. And then they can show you their requests that they have entered for next year. So make sure that you work with your student to have them log into Student Connection so that they can show you the requests that they have for next year. If you have any questions or if your student needs to make any changes after you have a discussion, feel free to send them to the counseling office, or parents can email us directly. So during the presentation, we also had students log into californiacolleges.edu, which is one of the platforms that we use to help our students start thinking about post-high school options. So it's not just California colleges, it also helps them research other out-of-state schools. But it's designed to make the college application process a lot easier. In that it imports all of the students' course history. So when they're filling out their college applications their senior year, they should be able to import their courses into their application, and that should minimize the errors that they might have done, that they might have made if they had to hand input all of their coursework. So we got them into their California Colleges account, and we had them do a work values survey. So work values is just answering a few questions about what they would find important in a job. So would they like to help people? Would they like to work alone? Those types of questions. And they had to rank them. All of the values seem important when you're doing them, but then they just have to prioritize which ones are the most important to them or which ones are the least important. And so they did that work values survey, and that at the end, it showed what values are most important to them. And then it also gave them some ideas of what careers have that work value. So in your student's account, they were asked to favorite a few careers that they might find interesting or that match their work values. And so parents can go into that count and view the results of that survey. All right, so next getting into what does that look like for parent accounts. You can do this right now as you're listening to me if you'd like, but you do need the student's ID number eventually when you're creating your parent account. But we would encourage that all parents have an account so that you can review the assessments and the lessons that students are completing in California colleges. So in the upper right-hand corner, you just have to, once you get to californiacolleges.edu, you just have to click on register. And then from there, just say you're a parent in Ventura Unified at Foothill, and then go to the next page, and then that's where it will ask the student's ID number. So that's their 5018 number. You can find that in Parent Connection, or if your student is sitting next to you right now or is home, you can just ask them, what is your student ID number? And then they'll just type it in, and then you can start your account. So it's a pretty easy setup. So basically, the California Colleges is broken into 4 different components. One would be career. So students can complete a variety of different assessments. And from those assessments, it'll start narrowing down different ideas for potential careers or majors. There's also the college tab where students can explore like what are A through G requirements, look at different majors, start building an actual college list as well that might offer the major that they're looking for. And then also in their senior year, super helpful with just a couple clicks of a button, they can import all of their coursework into their Cal State or UC application. So it makes it super simple for them and decreases the stress of college applications dramatically. There's also a financial aid tab, so students can begin to look at the cost of post-secondary education, calculate how much it could cost to attend a specific school. So there are net price calculators. So if a student were to put in like just basically a family income and their GPA and other factors, it can tell them how much the tuition approximately could be. So that could be a deciding factor, right? Is it affordable or is it not affordable? A lot of students don't have any idea how much it costs to go out of state to a public university like Arizona State, for example. If they don't live in that state, how dramatically that price can increase. But then they can also research the different types of aid as well. And that's what the net price calculator is for. And then seniors can launch their financial aid application from their California Colleges account their senior year because they will need to complete a financial aid application. And then from that, they can see if all the steps are done. They can add schools, they can remove different colleges, and they can begin to see if there are anything else they need to do in the financial aid process. And there are lessons on financial aid as well, so that it will explain grants and work study, what is a loan, So our seniors just completed a financial aid lesson that took them through that process and also had them set up the initial first steps of completing their FAFSA or California Dream Act application. And then finally, there's the other component is the My Plan. So students can look at their coursework in the My Plan under the academic, I think it's called Academic Planner. And then from there, they can see with like different color codings whether or not they have met A through G requirements in a specific subject area, or if they have different work to do, or if they're missing something, they can begin to track the completion of those 4-year requirements. They can also update their 4-year plan. They have started their, I think last year we started a 4-year plan. So they can look at that and update that as they make different decisions or get into different academies or take college classes. They can begin to update that 4-year plan. And then also they can create goals, use saved career.
Jane, you muted yourself.
How long was I muted for? All right. So hopefully by tonight, you'll have the opportunity to create a parent account through californiacolleges.edu. If you have any trouble, feel free to reach out to a school counselor. If you're really ambitious and want to attend a workshop at the Ventura County Office of Education in Camarillo, they do have a training it's called CCGI, California College Guidance Initiative. But that's basically what's created this californiacolleges.edu account. So you can attend and get an overview of what is in this account or platform and learn more about how you can guide your student to being better prepared for those post-secondary options. So that is Thursday, the 13th from 5:30 to 6:30. So it is in person. Just make sure that you register. And then on the 25th of February, there is one in Spanish. And snacks and refreshments are included, which is definitely a bonus to go to VCOE. All right. Next, just closing out tonight's presentation. I briefly wanted to mention something about summer school. Everything you see underlined has hyperlinks, so I'll send out this presentation tomorrow as well as the recording, so you can click on some of the hyperlinks. But summer school, we do have a district summer school website. So they have started to update that, and summer school will be offered July 7th through the 31st. And it will be in person at your student's boundary school. So there isn't summer school at Foothill, but if Ventura or Buena is their boundary school, then they can attend that school. It is best used for credit recovery. So that would be repeating a class that a student has failed. So every student needs to take biology to graduate, for example. So if they failed one semester or both semesters of biology, then from last year and didn't have a chance to take the summer school between the 9th and 10th grade year, then we would encourage them to take summer school this coming summer. So more information will be available in April for summer school, and we will send that information out with Ms. Johnson's newsletter when it comes out. All right, so as a 10th grade parent, we just didn't want to overwhelm you with too many next steps, but here are a couple. First, if you can monitor grades in Parent Connection regularly, and that would be helpful. So regularly, I think every 2 weeks is appropriate, or sometimes if a student has, falls behind quickly, then we would encourage you to check every week. Maybe check on a Friday and kind of tie that into, some weekend privileges, possibly to provide them with motivation to get their assignments done by the week's end. Encourage daily attendance. When students aren't in school, they don't do well. And they start to get stressed, overwhelmed, and then they don't want to come to school more often. So encourage daily attendance. That's the number one contributor to student success, is students being in the seat every day. Also review and update the four-year plan in californiacolleges.edu. So that's under the academic planner. So we would encourage you to view that with your student, and you can make any changes so that the student has an idea over the next couple of years what kind of classes they are going to be enrolled in and how that equates to getting all of their requirements done and graduating on time. Continue to be involved in the school community. So we would encourage you to join PIFSO. That's our parents, teacher, faculty organization. Read newsletters. We send those out monthly through the counseling office, and then our principal has her weekly newsletter as well. And then also for your student, we would encourage them to be involved in their community, try to find some internships in their area of interest. If they have desire to go to a four-year college eventually, they don't get into college just by grades anymore. They have to be involved in something that is generally in the area that they want to study. So check with family, teachers, other resources in the community to be able to identify some opportunities to expand on their learning in their area of interest while they're still in high school. All right, so just to recap, the counseling team is Mr. Boyd. So if you are last name A through HA, you can email Mr. Boyd if you have any questions. I'm Ms. Napora, and I'm HE through RA. And then Ms. Vega is RE through Z and English language learners. And we'd be happy to address any questions that might come up after we leave this meeting today. All right. So were there any questions in the chat that we needed to answer? If you have any questions in the chat, we'd be happy to answer them. But this does conclude our meeting for 10th grade families. So feel free to reach out. Feel free to have your student visit the counseling office in the B building if they have any questions or need to make any adjustments to their schedule for next year. Or if they just need some help getting back on track, if they've fallen off course, we'd be happy to work with them. Okay. So thank you for coming, and look for an email from me tomorrow, and I'll send out this presentation along with the recording.
Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it. Have a good night.
Have a good night.
Chip.